Ronde is the only Six Flags park in Canada, and it does not have the best reputation in the roller coaster community. This park is often lambasted for ride closures and poor operations. While the park definitely has its warts, there is a lot of stuff this park does really well. So in this video, I will review Ronde, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. Ronde is located on St. Helens Island in Montreal. The park opened in 1967 to serve as the entertainment complex for the 1967 World's Fair. While a majority of the fair closed by 10:30 p.m., Ronde stayed open until 2:30 a.m. for the duration of the fair. Ronde was kept open after the World's Fair and was operated by the City of Montreal for the next 34 years. In late 2000, Six Flags acquired the park's assets for $20 million. Six Flags still leases the land from Montreal, but Six Flags is responsible for operating and investing in the park. I believe their contract required an investment of at least $60 million over the next few years. During this time, the park received 4 different roller coasters, including 2 new B&Ms. Investments over the past decade have been much lighter than the other Six Flags parks. The park hasn't added a new roller coaster since 2010, and they were set to get one in 2020 with Six Flags Magic Mountain's former Green Lantern, but those plans were scrapped, and the ride now sits idle in the park's graveyard. Just a few years prior, something similar happened with some new flat rides that were announced. Not only has the park gotten less new additions, but they've removed a series of rides, and big ones too. Over the past 6 years, the park has removed 2 roller coasters, their popular log flume, and the year-round haunted house that lasted just 3 seasons. Further, the park has some SP&O attractions such as the monorail and the observation tower that likely are on the way out. Originally, the American chain planned to rebrand the park as a Six Flags property and introduce the familiar Looney Tunes and DC characters. That never happened, but you can see clues for some rides that were supposed to be DC themed. Vampire is a Batman the Ride clone. It was the first one in the Six Flags chain not to get the standard Batman the Ride name, but it did have a similar yellow paint scheme like some of the other clones. The ride also has a glass roof station building in the same architecture as the other Batman coasters that Six Flags built in the early 2000s. And the most obvious one, the logo, is of course a bat. The adjacent Cobra stand-up coaster was painted green, which was the exact same color scheme used on another stand-up in the Six Flags chain in Riddler's Revenge. I suspect this section of the park was supposed to become Gotham City. Then Goliath was given a red, blue, and yellow paint scheme identical to the Superman coasters across the chain. And Six Flags was notorious for naming the tallest and fastest coaster at the respective parks after the Man of Steel. So why weren't the rides and park name given the usual Six Flags branding? I believe it comes down to local regulations and culture. Quebec has a language law that all businesses must have a French name. There are special rules when a non-French name can be used, and I suspect Six Flags just found it easier to maintain the name that locals were familiar with. Then, while most people in Montreal speak both French and English, most prefer to use French and are proud of their heritage. I believe this contributed to the American names and brands being kept out of the park. Now let's talk about my biggest gripe with this park: the arrival and exit experience. It can completely ruin your day if you aren't careful. Much of that comes back to this park's location. Ronde is located on an island beneath the Jacques Cartier Bridge. It's a really neat and picturesque location, but it is a royal pain for access. Once you reach St. Helens Island, you have to navigate a maze of windy roadways to reach Ronde's parking lot entrance. The address the park provides on their website, and the default one on Google Maps, 22 Shem McDonald, brings you to the drop-off area, but the entrance to the parking lot is roughly 1 mile from there. The entrance is backed by the Ville Imaginaire sculpture. You want to select a point on the Chemin du Tour de Isle near the toll booths. I failed to do this and drove around the island 3 times since signage for the park was sparse and confusing. And it is not an easy drive either because there's usually a lot of car traffic and bike traffic. Ronde's parking lot is divided into 2 sections. You have a thin strip in front of the park. Then you have another lot backed by Goliath. Each one has its pros and cons. The front lot makes it easier to leave at night, but you have to use the far busier main entrance. The back lot has some sweet views of Goliath, and there's a quieter back entrance for the park. I've heard this entrance is only in use on busier days, but it has been used in all my visits to the park because I've always visited on weekends. However, this back lot makes it a nightmare to leave if you stay until close. You have to pass the front lot to exit, so you'll be stuck in one heck of a logjam. And it is miserable leaving the front lot too around closing time, because the island's roadways just are not designed to handle a large influx of people all at once. It took me 20 to 30 minutes to leave the front lot on a normal night in 2016. Then if you visit on a fireworks night, get ready for absolute gridlock. Ronde has the best fireworks show I have ever seen, but you will need a lot of patience if you arrive by car. The city of Montreal completely closes the bridge to car traffic from 8:30 p.m. until at least 11:30 p.m. on these nights, so pedestrians can watch the fireworks from there. This is the primary way to access Ronde, so it's near impossible to leave when this bridge is closed. And if you need to be somewhere, give yourself some buffer. I know someone who got in their car at 8 p.m. and they were still stuck in Ronde's parking lot at 1 a.m. I got in my car at 11:30 p.m. and wasn't at my hotel until 1:30 in the morning, and it was just a 15-minute drive away without traffic. There is an alternative though. You can use the subway. Jean Drapeau station is roughly a 10-minute walk from the main entrance to Ronde, and the yellow line can have you off the island in just 4 minutes for $3.50 Canadian dollars. You'll probably have to find parking in downtown Montreal, but it's potentially a faster and less stressful way to visit the park. Getting in and out of the parking lot will not be your only frustration. You also have to deal with the queue to go through the main gate. In 2016, it took me 2 hours to enter the park. Yes, you heard that right. I was in disbelief as the line snaked about and seemingly never ended. The line was the same physical length in 2022, but fortunately, Ronde replaced the old metal detectors with those amazing Evolve scanners, so a similar line only took 20 to 30 minutes this time. Long story short, arrive early if you want to avoid a potentially lengthy line at the main gate. And that will also help you knock out a few rides before the queue lines back up. Some of Ronde's coasters have dreadfully low capacities, and not all of them are on the Flash Pass either. If you want every credit, I would advise starting with Toboggan Nordique. This wild mouse is relatively close to the main entrance, and it has the slowest moving line in the entire park, and it's one of the ones not on the Flash Pass. Next I would hit Le Monstre. Make sure to start with track 1, or the right side, if you have Flash Pass, because the Skip the Line service only lets you skip the line on track 2. I would then head towards the back of the park before most crowds make it there. Prioritize Dragon if you have the Flash Pass, because that is another excluded ride. But it's also a wise time to try to rack up a few laps in the park's best ride by far in Goliath. Lines will move slowly most days at Ronde. Coasters regularly operate with just one train, and dispatches are glacially slow. There have been several points in my visits where I couldn't tell if a ride was closed or if a dispatch was really taking that long. Multiple coasters have had hour-long waits in my visits to Ronde. I admittedly have only visited on weekends though, partially because I want to minimize the risk that rides were closed, which I know can be an issue at this park. I imagine crowds will be lighter on weekdays, but the dispatches will not be any faster. And if you're trying to save a coaster for closing time, be careful. Ronde can close lines early. I saw them do this with Goliath on my most recent visit. They cut off the standby queue at least a half hour early, unless you had Flash Pass. They will also close several rides early on fireworks nights. The closing time they state represents when the final cycle will go out, so the standby queue lines will close well before that point. All of these reasons are why I've sprung for the Flash Pass. It is pricey, but this skip the line system can save you a ton of time at this park, particularly on weekends. It cannot help with the lines outside the park though. While dispatches are slow, the staff members at Ronde are generally friendly. Their primary and preferred language is French, but most do know English. Now let's talk about this park's layout. Ronde is very easy to navigate, as the park forms a giant sea around a lake. However, that means you have two major dead ends on both sides of the park. And I don't think this park is an easy way to complete the loop because it is blocked by the barges for their fireworks show. Most of this park actually looks really nice. You can get some stunning views of the nearby bridge in Montreal from both the midways and attractions. Then that lake is a really nice centerpiece for the park. You can get some neat vantage points of the rides looking out over it. Then many rides have nice and vibrant paint schemes. But every once in a while, you'll run into this weird pathway that just doesn't look like it should be accessible to guests. And then you'll also see those SB&O rides I mentioned earlier that simply look abandoned. If La Ronde could fix these two issues, it would make the park really impressive in the appearance department. Sure, the park doesn't have too much theming, but that's par for the course for Six Flags. Now let's move on to the ride lineup. La Ronde is a mixed bag in this department. Their coaster lineup has a standout in Goliath, but it does thin out fast. But I think their flat ride lineup is excellent, if everything is open. Multiple marquee flats have been closed in my visits to the park. The park also has no shortage of rides for kids. Now let's start with the coasters. Goliath is the star here. This Baljar-Mabillard Mega Coaster doesn't quite reach the heights of a hypercoaster, but Goliath is one of the best rides in the world for sustained floater airtime. The layout is a never-ending series of camelbacks. Some may call it repetitive or unoriginal, but I will never complain about a ride with this much airtime. There are hypers with stronger airtime, but few can sustain it as long and as frequently as Goliath. This ride also mixes in some sneaky laterals at points, and it's glass smooth, as I noted in my review. Vampire is a very nice complement. This B&M invert features the usual Batman the Ride layout, which is already very whippy and forceful. But Vampire seems to be faster and more intense than the majority of the clones, leading to some fantastic positive Gs, and it's silky smooth too. The other invert is the exact opposite. Ed Nor is among the roughest Vekoma SLCs. This ride will beat your head into oblivion. I do love this ride's placement over the water, and I cannot deny how intense the ride is, but the shakiness ruins the experience for me. Boomerang is another Vekoma that can induce some headbanging. This is one of the rare boomerangs that still operates with aero trains, and it doesn't seem to track as well as the others. If you're tall enough to clear the top of the over-the-shoulder restraints, you can mitigate this issue and hopefully appreciate the forceful inversions going both forwards and backwards. Le Mans had been closed for a few years, but ran consistently in 2022. This giant wood coaster has its fair share of bumps, but it is tolerable, especially if you avoid a wheel seat. This William Cobb-built wood coaster has 2 tracks, but the ride doesn't race or duel. Both sides ride fairly similarly, but I do think track 1 offers a slightly better ride experience. Both sides have poor pacing, but there are a few sudden pops of airtime and laterals around those slow spots. Check out my review for the full play-by-play, but this is one I hope is RMC'd one day. For family coasters, you have 2 options. Toboggan Nordique K is a Zamperla Wild Mouse. The ride has good laterals in the first half, but the drops in the second half are too shallow to offer airtime. And then this ride's capacity is so poor that it completely deters me from riding it. Dragon is a weird indoor coaster from Intamin. The layout is really tame, but you do have some fun visuals. You have neat lighting and multiple dragons, including one that eats the train. The final coaster is Marche du Millpat. This is a unique mini mine train from Arrow. I love how it's built into the terrain, but it is off limits to adults unless you're accompanying a child. Moving on to the flat rides, this is arguably La Ronde's biggest strength compared to the other parks in the Six Flags chain, especially when it comes to thrill rides. Orbeat may look like your average SNS space shot, but this one rides differently. 1. The launch is unpredictable. You don't pause before blasting off, and it doesn't have the usual sound sequence. 2. You get some wicked airtime at the top. The vehicle stalls out for a second, and then it's launched downwards. This leads to some powerful and sustained ejector airtime. And along with these forces, you get that sweet view of both the park and Montreal. Vol Ultim is a fun-time star flyer with similarly great views. It's quite a bit smaller than the others at only 15 stories tall, but it is tall enough to give a beautiful vista of the surrounding area. If you want to take in the views at a more leisurely rate, you have the Grand Rue Ferris wheel. It's just as tall as the Star Flyer, and it's now the park's best observation ride with the observation tower out of commission. Teton is a Zamperla Giant Discovery that also delivers on the visuals, and it's probably the park's best flat ride. The ride has a long cycle that has some fun floater airtime on the max swings, and good speed and positives on the downswings. The park also has a smaller frisbee from Zamperla known as Manitou, but it's among the worst versions of this type of ride I have ever seen. It doesn't swing beyond a 45-degree angle, so it offers no airtime. If you want hang time, Vertigo is an excellent choice. This Zamperla hawk has some slow revolutions that'll lift you out of your seat. The one thing I've never understood with this ride is why Ronde dug a pit for it. It doesn't seem like it's needed for clearance purposes. One flat I wish I could have experienced is Demon. This unique Mondial topspin has been closed in both my visits. I've heard it's not as intense as it looks, but I'd still love to try it. Then this park also pairs those modern flats with some older ones. You'll find some rare ones here like a Husk Condor and a Chance Falling Star. Then kids have their own dedicated area towards the front of the park. While it lacks the usual Looney Tunes characters, it does have a nice atmosphere because it's somewhat isolated from the rest of the park. Moving on to the dark rides, this will be quick. La Ronde has none. They used to have a year-round haunt in Maison Rouge, but I believe that building is now used for the seasonal Fright Fest. For water rides, La Ronde has two options, both of which are soakers. Splash is an intimate shoot-the-chutes with a fun drop and a giant wave. Then Aqua Twist is a cross between a teacup ride and a splash battle, making it a hit with kids. Then I cannot speak about this park's attractions without bringing up that fireworks festival. On specific nights, usually Wednesday and Saturday nights in summer, the park has a 30-minute fireworks display, and it is spectacular. They are the best fireworks I've seen anywhere, bar none. Take the usual finale of the other fireworks displays and maintain that for a half hour straight. That's what you get at La Ronde, and you're super close to the fireworks too. The final thing I want to touch on is the dining options. La Ronde has some really good food. The options are more diverse and better tasting than the American Six Flags parks, but it can be a bit tricky to use your meal plan. You used to have to get meal vouchers at guest relations, but fortunately, now it's done entirely on your card like the other parks. However, it is tricky to find locations that accept the meal plan, and even when you find one, not everything on the menu is included. So do I ultimately recommend La Ronde? Yes, I do, but go in with the right expectations. This park has its flaws, I will not deny that. And if you don't familiarize yourself with them in advance of your visit, they can completely ruin your day. Getting in and out of the park can be agitating to say the least, and the operations inside the park are not the best. But I do think the park has a unique setting, a nice overall appearance, a wonderful headlining coaster, and a great flat ride lineup. Plus you have that above average food and those world-class fireworks if you visit on the right night. And you're also right by Montreal, which is one of the coolest cities in North America to explore. While this is not one of the better Six Flags parks, I have enjoyed my visits to La Ronde while I'm inside the park. So those are my thoughts on La Ronde, the only Six Flags park in Canada. Do you think the hate for this park is overblown, or are you not a fan? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.